Okay, I'm going to read this just because there's some important things that we have to talk about. Okay, it says, do you want to look this good at the 8th grade dance? Guess who that's a picture of? Okay, do you want to look good at the 8th grade dance? Well, you better save your money. Let's say you find a dress for $120, for a $120 dress on sale for 20% off. You then have to pay 5.5 sales tax. What's the final price? Okay, so there's a couple things we need to do here. First of all, $120 is our original price, okay? So that's our original price. Now, 20% off. So sale for 20% off. So that is going to be your discount. That's your discount, which is your sale. And then here it says 5.5% sales tax. Well, even though it says sales in there, it also has this keyword, what? Your tax. So you have to make sure you know that is your tax. Okay, you got to get that straight before you do anything else. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say, so $120 and it's 20% off. So our first step, 20% of 120. Our second step, we're going to change that percent into a what? Into a decimal. So 0.2, because I moved my decimal over 2, of 120. What did we say of means? It means to multiply. So we're going to say 0.2 times 120. And when you do that, you get 24. Now over here, remember, it's sale. So what are we going to do? We're going to subtract. Oops. Oh, that was 24. Sorry. So here you're going to say 120, because that was our original cost, minus 24. And when you do that, you get 96. Okay, so normally we would be done. But we're not done because we now have to add the what? We have to add the tax. Okay, this is where one of the trickiest parts right here. So normally we're going to do percent of a number. However, we're not going to use 120 anymore. That is not our cost of our dress. We're now going to use 96. You have to use that number down here. So we're going to write 5.5% of 96. We're going to go ahead and change that percent into a decimal. So I get 0.055 of 96. Now when I multiply 0.055, I multiply it because that's what of means. I get $5.28. Now that represents the tax. Now remember, tax starts with what? It starts with the T, which is our addition. So I'm going to write 96 plus 5.28, and I get $101.28. $101.28. Alrighty, you found a $90 GameCube on sale for 15%, so that's my discount. Make sure you go through that. That's your discount. It's on sale. What is the final price after the discount with a sales tax of 5%? So that 5% is going to be my tax. So we start with the sale or the discount. We start with the sale and the discount. We're going to say 15% of 90. First thing you do is 15% of 90. Second step is what? You betcha. Change your percent to a decimal. 0.5 times 90. And then you go 0.5, and that's where you do your times. And when you do that, you get $13.50. So over here we have sale. So sale, we know we're going to subtract. We know we're going to subtract. So we're going to do 90, because that was the original cost, minus $13.50, and I get my new cost of $76.50. Okay, so I can go up here and I can cross out my 90. I'm never going to use that 90 again. You're not going to use that 90 once you finish the sale part. So now I have to look at the tax. All right, 5% of $76.50. What's my next step? 5%. I change to a decimal, 0.05, of 76.50. Then I'm going to do 0.05. What does of become? It becomes multiplication. And when I do that, I get 3.825. Well, I've got to do something with that, because how many numbers can I have after the decimal point when it comes to money? I can only have 2. So I'm going to look at this 5. 5 and above, give it a shove. So that changes to $3.83. That is my tax. That is my tax. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do $76.50 plus $3.83. And when I do that, I get a total of $80.33. Okay, I think I've talked too much, so I don't know if I can do the next slide. I got to see how long the little vid is. Okay, loves if this is the last one. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, don't go anywhere. There's enough time for another slide. I got to do it quickly. Okay, so follow along with the next question. Okay, Alexis went out and bought some Avon skin cream. It cost $45.50. It was on sale for 15% off, and there was a sales tax of 7.5%. So we're going to start with this 15%. So we're going to write 15% of $45.50. I'm going to change that percent to what? You betcha, to a decimal. I'm going to change that of to multiplication. When I do that, what do I get? Where is it? There it is. Oh, I get $6.825. But again, how many numbers can I have after a decimal for money? So that's going to change to $6.83. $6.83. I'm then going to take $45.50. And what am I going to do for a sale? Subtract. Subtract $6.83. Oh, I'm running out of room. Whoa, I just moved the screen. Whoa, how'd that happen? Oh my gosh, this is out of control. Okay, and I get $38.67. So that $38.67, that is my new cost, $38.67. So I'm going to cross that out because I'm never going to use that again. And I'm going to use this over here. 7.5% of $38.67. Change that percent to a decimal. I'm going to change that of sign to what? Multiplication. And when I do that, I get 2.90, and that represents my what? My tax. So with tax, I know I'm going to add. So I'm going to take $38.67, add $2.90, and you get what? You get $41.57. Okay, now I'm sure I've used up way too much time. Okay, love y'all. See y'all. Bye.